I'm a big fan of this man who's sitting right here on the Rich Eisen show. You've loved his work from way back in Fernwood Tonight and all throughout the Christopher Guest movies. He also plays Ty Burrell's dad on Modern Family, and soon will be performing a musical version of Carl Reiner's Enter Laughing for a week here in Los Angeles at the Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts. Good to see you, Fred Willard. How are you?
Good to be here. Always makes me feel very macho talking football with a man like you.
Yes, we could chest bump at some point during this conversation.
We'll see how this goes, yeah, but maybe we'll just fist bump.
We could just start with that and work our way up to the chest and what other aspects of the body parts that we're comfortable with. What about your Browns fandom that do you think leaves a mark on you, Fred Willard? Is it?
Well, born and raised in Cleveland, struggled with the Indians, one World Series win since '48.
Right.
What was their first World Series win? I don't know how much you were into baseball. And who did they play?
Back in the day, you're
1920. Brooklyn Dodgers. I can see it in your eyes.
You had me on that. You had me on that.
The Dodgers and Indians in 20, the Braves and Indians in 48, and that's it for World Series victories.
It's a dry spell.
So I'd like to, when those years when the Indians played, the Browns played Denver.
Yes.
In the final game and lost.
The drive on John Elway and the fumble with Ernest Biner.
Yes, and Bernie Kosar.
Yes.
And pulling the fake field goal he did in one of the games. And I talked about that. My wife and daughter at the dinner table, I kept explaining with a hard roll how they had, picked it up, and they couldn't have been less innocent. Pulled the ball back, threw for the touchdown. I love plays like that. I just like a little more notoriety for Cleveland, the city itself.
Sure, and now LeBron James has come home for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, that puzzles me. It puzzles me how they could welcome him with open arms. Does it puzzle you?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you can forgive and forget if they come back.
They did come back, and they figure it's all that they kind of feel that he went away to kind of get that out of his system, and now he's really
get the winning out of his system.
Yes.
That LeBron left to get the winning out of his system before he came back to Cleveland.
And also his handlers all wanted to live in Miami, which I can't blame them.
And that's why maybe some Browns fans and Cavs fans and Indians fans sort of, as you say, can't blame him for maybe leaving. But now that he's back, and now the Browns fans, Fred Willard, have Johnny Manziel to call their own.
Yes, your take on that. I'd love to see him do well.
Of course.
He came in and did well for the one game, then he didn't do well for the last game. I hope they don't drop him, and because he's kind of shunted off as kind of a clown type of thing, which it isn't. He's a sensational player.
Yeah, I know, but he has definitely got the sideshow.
Yes, which is not bad in football or sport. Plus, I read that he was so good in baseball, he could have just as well been called Johnny Baseball.
He could have been, right.
Yeah, so it's amazing when someone's that much of an athlete. Same way I felt about Tim Tebow. I saw him play. He was like Superman.
Yeah.
Yet he never got a chance for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, why was that? Did he not have it? Or?
I think it's sort of, Fred, one of those things where there's a convention, and if you don't fit the convention in the NFL...
That's what it seemed.
They feel it's not sustainable. And that's what people are maybe wondering about Johnny Manziel, is if he is going to be... can he be successful being the guy who's gone clubbing and shows up on the Instagram accounts and things of that nature? I mean, we'll see how that plays out, I'm here with Fred Willard here on the program, on the Rich Eisen Show. Which of the Christopher Guest films that you were in is your favorite? Which one of them?
Well, I think my favorite was the first one we did, Waiting for Guffman, because it was about actors in a small town. I'm an actor, and I kind of related to that. The one that did me the best was Best in Show, where the dog announcer. Everyone seems to have loved that because everyone seems to have a dog. And
people know announcing too. Were you being Joe Garagiola? Were you trying to channel your inner Joe Garagiola?
My guideline, Joe. And I was told by Christopher Guest that I would be a coach, maybe of a former coach of a small college team, a Division III team. Right. I took it one step further, that I maybe played a little football or a little baseball. So, and I thought that everyone watching would be fascinated by my stats or how much I could deadlift, and it's just kind of a clueless, because I think someone like Joe might have, he made it certainly colorful, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I don't think he ever asked his colleague on the air, how much do you think I could deadlift?
But I think he probably would have, well, you know, ball players like that, who become announcers, who are marginal athletes,
right,
they kind of underplay. And they say, oh, I was only a 230 hitter.
Right.
Which you have to be a pretty darn good athlete to hit 230. But they, oh, yeah. Who's the catcher that's the announcer now? He's a former catcher.
Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker. Always made fun of his career.
One of the funniest guys of,
sure.
You know, that we had Al Michaels on the other day. He said he's the funniest guy he's ever met.
Yeah.
You know,
but he underplayed his own career. But you got to be pretty good to even be a bad player in the big leagues. And who has a talk show now? The baseball player, ex-Cardinal or catcher. He's got a talk show, an interview show.
No kidding. It's an ex-Cardinals catcher.
Yeah,
Tim McCarver?
Tim McCarver. It's a very interesting show.
Yeah.
He seems very knowledgeable. He gets right in with these.
He also is a country music singer, McCarver. You know,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You're not thinking of Tim McGraw, are you?
No, that's. This does have the same, root. It's a different, different ending.
I'm only trying to help here.
No, but it's true. It is true, though. I've heard that.
He seems to take it quite seriously and be quite knowledgeable.
Yeah. I'm here with Fred Willard on the Rich Eisen Show. So how much of those movies with Christopher Guest was ad-libbed? How much was you just riffing?
Well, he would give you had a whole outline of the movie, exactly what was going to happen from start to finish.
Right.
And each scene, you knew what the scene was about. Mm-hmm. And it just, okay, action.
Right.
And luckily I was working with people who knew what they were doing and tried not to top each other or steal a scene, and just keep the scene moving. And we do maybe 2 takes. And Chris would come back and say, let's take another take, and remember to say this or try to stress that. And I'd say, well, should I say the same jokes? And he said, I don't know, whatever you want to do. And he'd walk off. But somehow he got a lot of footage and then would cut it down.
And then Anchorman, the Anchorman films, I know that they have made completely other Anchorman films out of whole cloth, out of just some of the other stuff that didn't make the original
Yes, they did a
films.
whole second movie of Anchorman, too, just putting in new jokes.
Right, that's it.
But now that's a little different. He would, Adam McKay, the director, would say, let's do it once as written, maybe twice as written, and then everyone was up for grabs.
Right.
But, you get the actors say, let's improvise. You could have an hour and a half on a 2-minute scene.
Of course.
And they're finally getting on spaceships and going off and say, well, wait a minute, let's get back to the real script.
Nunchucks come out of nowhere and some sort of street fight between action news teams. Some funny stuff. And now you're on, Fred Willard, with Modern Family, which is one of the funnier TV shows.
That is a great show to be
around.
on, yes.
I know. What's that been like for you?
It's wonderful. They used me, one season they'll use me 3 times, another season once. I'm Ty Burrell's dad.
Yeah.
Big fan of Ty Burrell. I worked with him on Back to You, the Kelsey Grammer show, which was also produced by Chris Lloyd and Steve Levitan.
Same folks, yeah.
And that show only lasted a year, so I'm glad to see them having success with Modern Family. It's really a fun show. And when you come on the set, you get the feeling that they've been waiting for weeks for you to return to save the show. That's the feeling. It's a nice feeling you get, rather than just the new guy.
But you're perfectly cast as Ty Burrell's dad.
I guess so,
I
yes.
mean, the two of you are just, I totally believe that you...
Oh, really?
Yeah, that you could be related.
With the corny jokes. So, Ty's an interesting guy. He lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. And
he's a big Oregon Ducks fan, I know that.
Oh, I imagine he would be, yeah.
He's a big Oregon Ducks fan, and Stone Street's been on this show, too. He's a big Chiefs fan, and it's pretty neat to have you here, Fred.
Thank you so much.
No, you bet. This has been a total blast.
Now, the football deflating thing.
Do you have any...
A point just...
Please.
Well, for one thing, wouldn't it affect both teams, or do they switch
Well, no, the Patriots handle... they handle their own balls. I don't know if I could say that.
That sounds... I don't understand. There's no double entendre.
We as men in this world, so they handle their own, and the Colts handle their own.
Oh, well then...
So that I know. But the question is when you reenacted the fake field goal for your family with a hard roll, was that properly inflated? Was the hard roll?
It was a hard roll, and I just grabbed it off the butter plate and kind of faded back. And my daughter was so interested, and my wife and daughter were just fascinated. By the whole idea.
But the butter might be performance enhancer. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
But here's a serious thought.
Yes.
Is it worth for Bill Belichick to do that? I mean,
don't think
why
so.
not give it a try? Now, then he did just what you did. I don't know. The ball boy, didn't this happen a few years ago?
With USC.
Maybe the ball boy did it. So what are they going to prove?
Acting, the ball boy went rogue? How many ball boys go rogue? I don't know. See, that's the whole thing about this thing. Do you have a Super Bowl prediction before I let you go between the Patriots and the Seahawks?
I did say, when I talked to your producer,
Yeah.
I felt New England, but then I read about Seattle. They're last year's champions.
Yes, indeed.
The way they keep coming back strong. It's going to be a tough game. They have equal records, don't they?
Now they do. It doesn't matter
Equal
anymore.
records, and it's going to be a toss-up. We have a Super Bowl party every year, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is that right?
Yeah. And it's half to watch the Super Bowl, half to see who did the commercials. Hey, I was up for that. But that's the thing. And I tape it in the other room so later I can go in and watch it for the real football. If I had to put money on it, I would say Seattle now. I've changed my opinion.
There you go.
I think Seattle. But New England has that. I remember the year they were 18-0.
Yep.
Was that how has that ever been done before?
It was. Nobody's ever gone 19-0 because the Dolphins went 17-0.
17, but
Right,
they swept the whole
right,
season.
Right. Well, there was only a 14-game regular season back then, and then the playoffs. The last time that the Patriots were undefeated that season was in the building that they're going to play the Super Bowl.
I saw that there because I
lost.
was working on a show, and the shows sent me there, and that was an exciting game. But to go,
You were at that Super Bowl?
I was at that. So the Giants
Yes,
and
the Giants.
Yeah.
In that building.
Yeah.
Tyree caught the ball off his.
Yeah,
off his head.
that's an exciting thing. I like to watch on TV, but just being there, the
There's
the
nothing
ambiance,
like it.
the whole, the excitement there. Yeah.
There's nothing like it at a Super Bowl. So Fred Willard says the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm taking that to the bank, the figurative bank, not the literal bank.
Okay.
Good to see you, Fred. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Rich,
Fred
for having me.
Willard.
It's a
No,
pleasure.
No,
I feel so macho here being on the show.
Do you want to hear? Let's fist bump. Let's
Oh,
just do
okay.
that.
But afterwards, I'm going to run across the studio, and I want you to try to tackle me.
Yes, I will do
All
that.
right.
Yeah. Horse collar. That's the way I do. I play dirty.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.